All right. Well, we are live. Welcome. This is episode 69. Welcome to Teaching Python. My name's Sean Tiber. I am a coder that teaches.
And my name's Kelly Schuster Paredes, and you can't really see it, but I'm a teacher that codes.
Nice. And this week, we're going to be talking all about teaching with PyCharm Edu, and we're joined by the amazing Valentina Karushkina today to talk all about how we can use PyCharm Edu inside the classroom, outside the classroom, around the world. It's really great, a really great tool for teachers. So, Valentina, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we're excited to dig into this. I know that this continues our Edu series for IDEs, right? Which I guess is a bit of a mouthful, but all about using editors to teach. And that's something that we don't always talk about. We usually focus on the features of the editor. This is a way we can talk about how that editor can be used to teach more effectively. So we're really excited to pick your brain and learn some new things and find out more about this amazing tool for our classrooms.
Yeah, sure. I'll do my best.
All right. Well, let's start though with the way we always do, which is the win of the week, and that's something good that's happened inside or outside of the classroom. And Valentina, we'd love for you to go first because that's part of our fun is making the guest try to figure out what to share. So
okay. I thought about what to share with you because I'm not a teacher it's not my employment, but I want to share something about teaching and learning. So today I want to share my win in learning. I moved to Germany a month ago, and I don't speak much German. I'm trying, but now I don't. And the one thing that I thought I was missing when I was moving, there's small talks on the street. Because I have a dog, and it's always lots of small talks, and I really like to just go by and say a couple of words to one or that, and so on. So I thought I will be missing it, but day before yesterday, I got a German small talk with a woman, and I didn't switch to English. I said 2 sentences. I understood something, but it was like a real win because I said, I can live here. I can live here. Maybe my German will be better. And yeah, so that's my win of the week.
That's really great.
Absolutely. I remember when I used to go to Berlin and when I go to Hamburg to visit some family, they always look at me like I speak German. My kids are German with a German passport, but I know nothing. I'm like, Guten Morgen, tschüss. And then they start speaking and I'm like, nein, no sprechen in Deutsch.
Entschuldigung.
So good for you. That is a very hard language. I've tried to do a couple of words in Duolingo, and it is definitely your tongue gets a little bit twisted. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I think I took 2 years of high school German, and it was, I think I've spent 48 hours in Germany. So I was able to order a beer and I was able to ride the train, and both were successful. I didn't get lost and I wasn't sober. So it was great.
It's always a win.
Yeah. So for you, Kelly, how about your win this week?
Oh, I had such a fun win. So I had my last class challenge in 6th grade. And I really like this challenge because it incorporates a lot of research and a completely new skill that I don't even teach to the students. And it's about working with hardware and breadboard and LED. And I set the kids up with this challenge. It's a piece of paper that tells the instructions, your job is to take the microbit and light up an external LED, but that's the easy part because there's tutorials out there. Go ahead and do it. And the idea is you need to explain that to someone like me or another 10-year-old and name all the parts and code a little bit extra than the tutorial. And it's one of those things that we were talking about with Barbara Oakley about this whole endorphin rush. And I got on camera 2 pictures of my students when they got the LED, because it takes them about 65 minutes to find the tutorial. And all of a sudden this one student is like, yes. And the other girl's like, oh, because it's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more points than normal. And I actually got the photos. I had to have them stop for a second and freeze. They thought they were in trouble, but I snapped the photo right when they got it. And it's just a great moment to see. And I look forward to that day every time. So it was good. It was a good win.
Cool.
That's so awesome. And we've seen that happen. Like when you see that happen, that's when you see the kids really get excited about it. Before that, they can't see that feeling, they can't see it get there, and so it feels like it's never going to happen, and then it does, and it's like they just get so excited about that. And we spend a lot of time reflecting on how do you feel right now, and like why do you like doing that? And then I love to tell them, like, I still feel that way coding 25 years later when something works or you get it and you just feel like, yeah, you know.
I did it.
Yeah.
That's always me in the background going.
And the thing is, like, I tell them, it doesn't have to be anything monumental. It's not like you just, solved some crazy hard big problem. When you do that, you should celebrate also, but it can be just as simple as finding a bug that's been troubling you for hours or days or whatever, and when you get it right, it feels amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're going to put that tutorial in the show notes. If you do it with, it's one from Adafruit with the red, yellow, and green stoplight. If you let them try to find it on their own, it's a little bit more fun, a little harder to do. And then to let them figure it out when they have to turn the LED legs around so that it's aligned correctly with the positive and the negative on the breadboard. So it's such a fun little tutorial for 10-year-olds. So
nice. Well, for me, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I have 3 little wins that I want to share because I couldn't decide. It's been a really good week as we get towards the end of the school year. The first thing I have to mention is that we attended PyCon virtually. PyCon US was virtual this year, and it was amazing. I was just really impressed with how well it came together, how well planned it was, how well the platform worked for connecting people, and how well the PyCon community leaned into all these little meetups and networking events and everything. And it was really a lot of fun to go pop into a table somewhere and just see who would join on and video chat with you. So I know Kelly had some guys, Dan Bader and Christopher Bailey.
Yeah, they were such good sports talking to my 7th and 8th grade robotics students, and they were asking these questions about how to hack into firmware. And I said, I'm sorry, these are these kids that I can't answer these questions. And Christopher was just like, that's a fun question. And I said, see what I deal with every day.
So PyCon was amazing this year, and I know that we all wish it could be in person, and I still do, and I'm hopeful for Salt Lake City for the next 2 years and going back to Pittsburgh for the 2 years after that. There have been some really amazing moments that have happened virtually, and I really think kind of everybody involved deserves a round of applause to pull off a virtual event of that size and do it so well and with such excellence was really a cool feat to accomplish. So congratulations to everyone who's been working on that. Well-deserved rest, I'm sure, for a bit afterwards. So that was my first win. The second win was my new Adafruit subscription box came in. And speaking of breadboards and everything like that, it got me excited again to break out the breadboard and start wiring up some circuits and everything, because it's all about home automation, IoT. It's got this really cool board called a Funhouse that has a bunch of sensors on it. And then there's some really cool tutorials that are set up to help you connect that to online services and have things like if this, then that trigger off other things. So when the temperature goes above this level in the room, to send a text message to me or something like that. And I really love this sort of thing. And so I'm excited to break out the breadboard and get going with it. The last thing that I wanted to share was just a kind of this mini win today. I was going through and grading these responses to an assignment that I gave that's an ongoing 2 to 3 week assignment where students are following tutorials and really setting their own direction. We mentioned this on the Barbara Oakley podcast episode last week, but it's really about how people navigate and what they do and finding their own path to learning and having some support of this tutorial. So I've asked the students to post a discussion board comment each day. So there's an online discussion board. They have to post a comment. Here's what I learned. Here's what I figured out. And I change up some of the questions and everything. And, one of the students asked me, hey, how do you want us to write this? Is it a couple sentences? Is it a bullet list, whatever? And I said, look, as long as you're answering the question, you can write it however you want. Even if you want to make it like a Dear Diary entry, like that'll be fine. So one of my students made it a Dear Diary entry. And so she wrote it in the voice of this kind of ditzy girl writing to her diary all about coding in Python. It's like, Dear Diary, I'm so excited. I was so tempted to pull you out during class and write about all the things that I'm learning with Python. And it was the most amazing thing. So I posted one of those to my Twitter account, because it just was such a creative way to have fun. And it made me so happy to see that my student was having fun coding and learning and being creative. And that's just a sign that things are going well for that particular student. So it's pretty exciting and pretty fun. So that's my triple win over the last week or so.
Good.
Yeah. You took them all. So we don't know. You've got us like, we don't know what to say.
yeah. Like 3 wins.
Yeah, 3 wins. I mean,
he's greedy.
It was a great week. I mean,
I made bechamel yesterday. It's my small week, so my small win.
Honestly, when I have moved and feeling at home in my new place, that's a huge win. And it takes some of those small details to feel like you found a place. So I love your win. Let's go into fails though. I mean, why not? why not share the other side? Kelly, do you have a fail you can share this week?
I'm trying to think. It was such a short week, and I only went to school 2 days. So, no, I can't think of anything yet. I'll come back to me. I'll pass for a second.
Well, I think your win and your fail was definitely getting hit by the COVID shot this week, right?
Yes, yes, I did. I was out Tuesday in bed for 7 hours after the second shot of my vaccination. So that was a win and a fail. So,
quite a controllable illness. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anything from you?
For me, really, the fail this week was not having something working right in time for a meeting. And so I was working on demoing this little program that I'm making, and I didn't quite have it working the night before, or like the day before when I left for school. So it was a sprint up until about midnight to get something that I could demo for the next morning's meeting. And I pulled it off, but definitely the fail was having to be up until midnight figuring it out. Like that's usually not a sign that it's going right. So, oh well, better luck next time.
Yeah. And as for me, again, something from now from teaching world, and I'm teaching my dog. It's the only teaching experience I'm having now. But the fail is that previously in St. Petersburg, where I lived a month ago, and before 7 years, we had some kind of everyday training, small training sessions. Like it was some kind of a discipline, and I wanted to do the same here. And as I moved, I took a break for 2 weeks or so. And this week should be the week when I decided that we should go back to our routine. We didn't, because it was good for Monday and Tuesday, but then I forgot. Maybe because I was too tired or something changed in my routine, but still, and I forgot yesterday. I forgot. Okay, maybe I didn't forget yesterday, but I'm not sure. So for me, it was like routine is broken. Everything is broken. We should start from the beginning. And it's important for him because he has some behavioral problems, and we should do anything regularly. Otherwise, it won't work.
Consistency is key, right?
Yeah.
Learning with anything, animals, kids, adults, that routine, that consistency, the constant timing and reward system is always a must. So yeah, get back on it.
Yeah. I hope we will.
Yeah. For sure. Well, why don't we jump into our topic then? And Valentina, what if you could? Can you give us a little bit more of an introduction for yourself? What's your background in coding? How did you come to work on PyCharm Edu and at JetBrains? Just so folks get a sense of your history and journey to this point.
Okay. So actually, I fell in love with programming on my 10th grade in school when I solved my first equation, like a very simple one. But then I started to learn it at my university in Siberia. Then I moved to St. Petersburg to continue my education. And then I had the special courses from JetBrains where I really learned how to do real programming, and came as an intern at JetBrains when this PyCharm Edu project was 1 year or even less. And my task was to write some integration for PyCharm with another website with cool coding exercises called Check.io, but okay, we still have this integration, though it's good. Yeah, and that's and so I'm at JetBrains for 6 years, I think. I worked initially in PyCharm itself, partly, and partly in the PyCharm Edu. And then I switched completely to PyCharm Edu, and so I'm still here. So in shortly, that's how, just quite straightforward.
Wow. Is there,
Very cool.
and so, sorry, go
Kelly,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, Kelly. I got it.
All right. So, and I'm probably jumping all out of order for Sean, but is there a difference in the view of PyCharm Edu and regular PyCharm for developers?
Yeah, that's one of the ideas, to simplify interface a little bit, because in PyCharm has huge of features, functions, and so on. And we thought that for the beginner it could be a little bit too much. I think when you start programming, it's always the problem that you just come to some tool and you see, okay, it's for real profs. I'm too stupid to this. I will never do this. Okay, so let's do something that I'm capable of, and just cry and so on. But yeah, so we wanted to just to simplify a little bit this first step, and to make maybe this experience not too scary. But I think PyCharm itself now doing good things to simplify its interface. But at that time, maybe it was too more like significant difference in interface.
Cool. Sorry, I've only seen the PyCharm Edu. That's the only one I've used. So I had to get that cleared right away out of my brain so I can move on with the conversation.
So give us a little bit of the summary of PyCharm Edu. So we know that there's some differences between PyCharm and PyCharm Edu, but what's kind of the key purpose of PyCharm Edu as an editor, and how did it become distinct and separate from PyCharm?
Yeah, so basically the idea of PyCharm Edu was to combine powerful tools of PyCharm with some functionality to learn, to help people learn and teach with this tool. So it includes full functionality of the regular PyCharm, like debugging, code highlighting, typo highlighting, and so on. But at the same time, as I said, we simplified the interface, but also we created a special structure to help people to create courses there. So, which means that you can, as a teacher, create a course and share it with the student, and student can see this course, or you can share it somewhere privately, and you can. And this is the special structure. When I say this, I mean that you you can create a course, consists of lessons, consists of tasks, and each task is just some coding exercise, or now we have other types of tasks. So it looks like a regular PyCharm project, but we just created stuff to make it more suitable for creating courses.
Very cool.
Cool. Is that done inside the PyCharm application, the courses? Or no, it is?
Yeah. Actually, I want just a small disclaimer. EDU tools is set for different languages, and I'm trying to talk today only about Python. But if I can switch to something else, but I try just to keep straight the Python. So it works with other our products. With other our IDEs, but if we're talking about PyCharm, yes, it's a functionality that you have exactly in PyCharm. You have just special actions to like start learning, and you can choose one of the courses that we already have, or courses from our integrations, or create your own.
Very
so
cool.
just inside it.
Yeah, and I think that may be important for some of our teachers to note, or educators, is that, especially if you're just learning Python and you've heard of PyCharm, it's JetBrains makes more than just Python editors, right? There's Java, Kotlin, C. There's all these other languages with dedicated editors for them, and then a lot of educational products to support those as well. So it's part of this broader ecosystem of editors, not just one product by one company. There's a lot going on here, right?
Yeah. And if you use some of them, you can just go to plugins and find EDU tools and install it, and it will work. So, for example, if you're a user of PyCharm community, you can just go to plugins and install it, and you don't have to install a separate IDE if you don't want to. So it's no problem.
That's great.
I'm like in my, sorry, you make me jump in when when we do these podcasts. I'm jumping into PyCharm right now. Sorry, put it away. Sorry, I'm focusing. It's one of those things. So I have PyCharm, I have VS Code and Terminal, and our baby editor Moo on my dock, and I've been trying to learn a little bit of both, or a little bit of everything, because a lot of our students like to adventure out past the baby editor or the young newbie editor that we use as Moo. And when they venture out, I used to get scared. So now I try to like always look at them and use them.
So within the education spaces, are the courses this ideal way of using PyCharm EDU? Are there other ways that teachers use it as a way to demonstrate code or to run their own code? So because it's a full-featured editor, are there ways that you've seen teachers using PyCharm EDU that has been more effective, or specific effective ways?
Yeah. The one story that I can't remember when, but we saw the talk on PyCon Australia, where the teacher shared her experience in using PyCharm in her classroom. And it was, as I remember, it was just a regular thing, creating course and sharing it with students. So I think typical workflow is that you create your course, and it's like set of tasks dedicated maybe for some specific topic. For example, you want just to give some exercises to practice. And in this course, you have your task with description and some tests for self-assessments, or just tests that not for self-assessment, just the whole covering tests. And you give this course to your students, and they can solve it themselves, and just to have an instant feedback. So I think it's one of the ways to use it. But also it can be used for home assignments, for maybe some checking how they understood the topic you talk about. So I think one of this is just to create your own course, share it for your purposes. Another thing that maybe not obvious if you're not work inside it, that we have our open courses like Introduction to Python, for example. And this course consists of basic things about Python, its syntax, basic structures, and so on. And our license allows you to use it for your own purposes, to like have some materials from us and distribute it to your students. Or for example, we have cases when people just translated it to their language and share it with students. So I see like these types of using it.
Very cool. Nice. And that's really helpful because, for a lot of teachers, especially in this space, we're coming up with our own curriculum, right? We're coming up with our own lessons. And, I know for Kelly and I, we've spent a lot of time going through different lessons, different materials, different, different parts of it. And it's been really hard to kind of come up with the best examples or the things that work well for us. So having that library of coding is really helpful because you can look at things that have been working well and use the things that work well for you. We've got some comments in the live chat right now. Niraj has said a little bit about paying attention to Kotlin for data from our conversation about the different tools that are available. We have someone saying, I can't read that. I'm sorry. It's not my alphabet.
Understand it.
Yeah, but saying that PyCharm is pretty convenient for state exams too. So you can use it as a way to prep for exams and being ready for
cool.
that.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of a cool thing, right?
That is cool.
Yeah. It's about examining for informatics. The name of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And then Ryan was saying that he's heard a lot about JetBrains and EDU tools. So like this is something that's not just new. It's been around for a while. It's
cool.
something that is established. That's cool. We have comments saying who's the target audience, I guess auditory, but audience for this product and course. Is it school pupils? Is it people in university looking for CS degrees? What's the age range that seems to work pretty well from what you've seen for this?
I think it really depends of your course and what you want to share. So we don't have any strict age, like how to say
age requirements.
Age requirements. Yeah, thank you.
Well,
but
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. But we haven't designed this tool just for using exactly in the classroom, because we are developers and our idea was like to share knowledge, to have a platform to share knowledge for developers, for anyone who just wanted to share some piece of knowledge they just learned with others. So it was like so it's not for school pupils exactly, so it can be unsuitable for different people.
Okay.
Well, I just want to say we have a couple of 7th graders that use it. When we went to PyCon 2 years ago, 3 years, whatever.
2 years ago now.
Yeah. We went to the JetBrains booth and I was like, okay, I'm going to try. And Sean was like, oh, try this one. And I'm like, no, I'm going to try this one. I'm going to try something different because I always try to do something different than Sean. And, and I use it. And we have a 7th grader who loves it. And we are laughing back and forth because, Sean will say, well, there's, it's fit for everyone. He's very easygoing. He's like, but I use this one. And I'm like, well, I use that one. So we do have a couple 7th graders. And I was just looking at some of these educational products on the website, and it's pretty cool to get you started. So just talking about plugins and things like that. I personally like using it because I don't get lost in my virtual environment somehow in here. It just works. I don't really understand very well virtual environments. So sometimes when I was installing packages, I was installing in the right folder. And it's very easy. I can work in my terminal or put my Python packages in it. So when they get out of Moo, which is our 6th grade editor that we use. Nick Tollervey always says if they start asking really serious questions, as in how do I get my files packaged or why can I install this library in Moo, then he says it's time to move on. So I guess for me, if I was answering this question, is if the student wants to do more than the editor can provide, it's time to move on to PyCharm, regardless of whether they're 10 years old or 18 years old. If they're ready, just throw them in there. They're really comfortable finding their way better than me.
Thanks for your experience. Thank you very much.
And we had one here from Ryan. He says he's teaching Python in clubs and summer camps, so he's not directly affiliated with a school, and therefore he hasn't been able to gain access. He says it's not part of the national curriculum in his country. Coding isn't, and so he's working to change that. And so he asked how he can gain access, and it sounds like there's 2 paths: either to download PyCharm Edu directly, right?
Yes.
Or to download PyCharm Community Edition and then install the EDU tools in the environment as a plugin, right?
Yeah. But I think first is simpler way, but both works.
Okay, and maybe what we can do is follow up afterwards. So Ryan, if you have some stuff that you're specifically not able to figure out, we'll get you connected with the right support or help to be able to get that working.
To help.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and Ryan, just a little plug in for Ryan because he's been an active follower. He's been trying to do some really good things in the community and getting some of his coders into, or some of his students into coding. So it's really great.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really glad that he connected with us because Kelly and I are lucky to be part of a school that is emphasizing coding and has made it part of the curriculum. But so many young people are getting their first steps in coding through programs like what Ryan is doing, where it's after school or it's on a weekend or a club, and maybe their parents are dropping them off thinking like, hey, my kid's pretty good with this, and maybe they'd like programming. And that's the first steps in maybe a lifelong journey of coding and thinking. So
really cool.
It's people like Ryan that are making that happen. And so we're really glad that he's connected with us.
Cool.
So I think we have a couple other questions. Oh, and Ryan says, thank you guys. Love what you do. Huge fan.
Yeah, you had to post that one. That's
mutual
good.
Love fest. So let's see here. So moving on a little bit just to talk about, go ahead.
That's a good question to lead to. So for example, if there are people out there who are doing nonprofit clubs or whatever, is there a place where educators can actually talk to you guys about a direction of your development or some projects is there a link or a way to contact?
Yeah, so we have basically 2 ways. We have open issue tracker. So you can come here anytime with bugs, comments, anything like this. And it's the shortest way to get to the right developer. So if some interface doesn't work, hello, I'm here to help you. Yeah, but it's one of the way. Another way is to contact our support team. And I think Ilnur is my colleague, and he should help today to answering questions too. So you can contact our support team. So yeah, I think there's 2 ways, and we are really happy to communicate with everyone. We like feedback.
And it's an interesting thing because PyCharm's not an open source project, right? It's something that's a business that's made in selling software, but you have these aspects of it that are open, right? So even if the source code isn't necessarily open in a lot of cases, right? The issue tracker, the feedback cycles, all of those things are designed to be as open as possible, right?
Yeah. So I think part of the PyCharm is open. So we have 2 PyCharm editions. First is community, and it's open source, and another is professional. And of course, as it's sold, is closed. It's not open source. PyCharm Edu is open source. You can find us on GitHub, and you can write issue even there, but your track is much, much faster. This is what we read every day. Yeah. Oh. But if you're interested in how it's all built, but we are on GitHub, so You're welcome.
Huh.
And but Tracker is open for all our IDEs, and you can go and file back for any of them. Like something doesn't work, fix.
So here's a question for you. How much of PyCharm is coded in Python?
Oh, I don't think I don't think much. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I think small parts of the debugger, and that's it. Maybe I'm wrong, but my knowledge is 5 years old, but something like that. Most of the PyCharm and other IDEs are Java/Kotlin. It's our JVM based language.
Are the EDU tools also in Java and Kotlin, like the plugin, the EDU tools part of it, or does that have elements of Python in it too?
Yeah. So if you're going a little bit of this, my work in my work in life. So all these tools are based on the common platform called IntelliJ platform, and this is in Java. And so all other IDE, they are using parts of this platform. So they are also in Java or Kotlin. And so plugins are also in Java or Kotlin.
Gotcha. Cool. And it looks like Anastasia from JetBrains is also on the live chat also. So she provided a direct link to your email address for support on the education part of it too. So if anybody's looking for that, it's education@jetbrains.com. So kind of a cool thing that we have so many different ways that you can get in touch with folks at JetBrains to get what you need.
Excellent.
Go ahead, Kelly. I think we have a couple other questions on the list that we can. Go
ahead, hit the questions.
Okay. So let's hear. We've talked about ways that teachers are using it. Some really cool ways, like from PyCharm Australia, and we've talked about how educators can inform the direction of your development. Do you have any new features? Anything new that has come out recently that teachers should check out? Things that are helpful for either their own development or for their own teaching?
So here, it was a hard question for me, really, because I wanted to highlight not new but features that teachers want to use, and it was hard for me to just choose something and not to talk for more than I expected to do. But okay, I tried. So I think I like several things that you can do inside PyCharm Edu. First, it's that now it's possible to combine theory tasks with coding exercises. Because when I'm learning something on, I don't know, anywhere, and if it's coding, so I get tired of switching between browser, back to editor, then back to check, and for me it's not really like bad. You can split the screen and so on, but a little bit frustrated. But here you just can combine this theory with coding, and you can just say strings in Python is that and that, and then you just write your first string and it will be next, and you can just do this gradually in the same project, in the same course. Then I like ways to guide student when you want they to solve the task. You can in your code editor you can provide the template that student should modify, like first function, just make this function return the right thing, and you can draw like placeholder to tell which part of this template are intended to be modified. And this is one way of guidance. Another one is to provide...
1 second. Is that the insert live template feature in
answer placeholders? Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's answer placeholders. It's just where you can select some part of the text of your template, and on the right click, you will see like answer placeholders menu, and then you can just say expected text, and current one.
Cool. Add that into class challenges options.
Yeah.
Sean. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did this, Valentina. You have to wait for me. I think of these curriculum as we go. So
Yeah,
cool.
It's really interesting because a lot of the challenges that we do are things where it's like, okay, update this function, and then we might have some other code that we provide for them to exercise that function and see that it's working the way that they expect. Like, does it provide the right output? And it's really fascinating that, we'll tell them just update the function, and they'll end up like rewriting the entire thing, and they're like, I don't understand. Right?
Do not change the code underneath, and they're like, but it's not working, this error, and they're trying to debug everything in the entire file. So that's a great option.
Your code doesn't work.
Your code's horrible, Mr. Tiber. I'm rechanging.
Top comment on every online course that the answers are wrong. Okay. Another thing, another way to help accept this like restriction of the modification area is to provide students with hints. So you can, in task description, you can say like, modify this function. But if you have any problems, just expand this hint or expand that hint. You can have several of them, like from easiest to the answer almost.
I like that, because you definitely can tell the kind of student. There's the ones that goes and immediately expands every single hint and looks at all of them, and then you have the other ones who are like, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. And I think you can guess which kind of person Kelly is when she's coding. She's definitely not the first kind.
Hey. So question real quick. Are all these features things, sorry, going back to courses. I'm really stuck on courses because I'm really excited about that. Can kids develop courses as well?
Oh, why not? So,
why not?
I think
I like that answer. Why not?
I think it's maybe they will need some guidance in sharing, and that's this kind of stuff, and some kind of introduction of how to do this. But we have Educator Start Guide, which explains the basic things, like to start with, and I think using it, the students also can do, kids also can do this. But if they don't contact us, say like, hey, it's not true, or we don't understand why. I'm
just thinking. I'm thinking like, because when we install as a learner or an educator, right? So is there a different feature when we install the IDE as an educator, or?
Actually, it's IDE contains both features for student and for educators, and you can switch between them. It's not really open functionality, because we didn't want for students to accidentally switch to educators and see more of functions that they just don't want. No secret here, but just we wanted to make it simple. Yeah. So, but it's possible. It's all in one, and you don't have to reinstall it. No need to. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I really like the way that this is organized, and it made me think about, like, couldn't we have something where the students in the 7th grade develop a course for the kids that are in the 6th grade, or keep going. They're designing for the students before them. I think that could be a really great way of helping them highlight what's important in their learning for students who will be coming along after them.
Yeah, I just got scared
to do something like this. Oh, sorry.
No, I just got scared because Brian will probably be happy. Yeah, I just scrolled across the writing test feature.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta learn.
Yeah.
It's on my to-do list.
Yeah, but it will simplify maybe your life. Not right at the moment, but in
the future when I learn how to do it.
Writing test is not my favorite thing, but okay. It's not about that.
All right,
okay,
continue.
So something. Yeah, I wanted to share about this feature, instant check-in. It's about test yourself. So it test themselves. So you can, at the teacher, you can write tests with messages, some for every test, and they will be shown to students and to help them somehow, like not test number 31 is failed, but something like you have problems with this type of data and so on.
Hold on, let me
Yeah.
clarify, because if anyone's like me, when I first met Brian Onkett, he was telling us about tests. I did think they were, and I will call this out because it's on it's on our podcast.
Okay.
But I was just like, no, we don't have any tests. We're not talking about the for all the new coders. We're not talking about multiple choice tests. It's the test that checks the code to make sure that and Sean will have to explain it, that it's running correctly or it's doing what it's supposed to do. So just clarifying for anyone who was out there 2 years ago, like me, who didn't know what a test was. So
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a lot to learn. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's really important too, because we've spent a lot of time this year working with our students. They're using PyTest to check the answers to some of their coding challenges, and the ability for a teacher to rewrite the response based on how the test fails is a really critical feature, because for a lot of students, especially at the beginning, this may be the first time that they're encountering the test. So if you can put in, here's a link to more information about this error, or what this error usually means, like a name error in Python is most of the time a typo, right? But they think it's something much more dramatic and severe, like, oh no, it's a problem. And, they go from 0 to OMG really fast, right? and it's like, no, you probably just have a typo, and so you could add these things in. And I think it's a really good practice for teachers and for people who are writing these tests for their courses to think about the student sitting in the seat. What kinds of information do you want them to have to be able to resolve this error now, but then also to learn how to resolve this error in the future, because this is probably not the last name error they're going to get, or not the last type error. And even though there are some really cool things coming in the next version of Python for making the errors more human readable and approachable, we have a bit that we can do to make it easier for the students to learn from those errors.
Yeah. But just in case, if you can't write tests now, it's not a problem, because you still can use answer placeholders, this feature when you just say what answer exactly, like, expected, what kind of code is expected. So it's not, you don't have to write tests, like, even if you want to use PyCharm Edu now. No, it's feature.
Good. Good.
Yeah. And the last thing about features to use, that it's about sharing, that now you can share it privately via zip archive, or another option that you can publish your course. We just recently launched that way of sharing. We use the same platform that is used in JetBrains to share plugins. And now we have there even courses. It's called JetBrains Marketplace, and now we have there not only JetBrains plugins but also courses. And now here is only our courses because we just launched it. But if you want to just publish your course, you can create it in PyCharm Edu, publish, and
that's definitely giving me some ideas for things that we could potentially make. And I think, for Kelly and I, one of the things that we have a lot of interest in is helping teachers become more effective at teaching, specifically with coding. So maybe we should think about a course that's for how to teach Python or how to teach coding. I think that could be really good.
I'm looking at that. If anyone's out there listening, if you guys haven't jumped onto the plugins.jetbrains.com marketplace, it goes on and on. There is an introduction to Python course on there, right? And is that that's just totally free, right?
Yeah. Now all the courses that we have, and they are free on marketplace, and they will be, but we have plans to allow people to sell their courses there. It's just future plans. It's not there now, but we have, and our marketing team is really interested in people who have the experience in sharing their courses. And if you're listening to us, just contact us, please, and we would be happy to have a talk and share experience. And you can influence, as we discussed before, the ways that we will develop.
Cool. Very cool.
That's really great. That's really great. I love that there's such an emphasis on education and learning within the Python community, and specifically from JetBrains, that this is something that's important and something that you've made a mission for. The company is not just to sell software, but to help developers become more developed, right? And I think that's a really great mission. Yeah,
we really value it. And yeah.
I'm just blown away. Sorry. I've been using PyCharm, but we never really go into the website, and I know I have a book even. We have a book on our bookshelf. And it's just very exciting because you can get stuck, and I feel like this is a slang. This is a very English waitress slang, but you get into the weeds, which means you just get deeper and deeper and deeper into this website. So definitely have a look at that. So cool.
Any other new features? You mentioned the marketplace with courses that hopefully will be for purchase soon. Yeah. Any other new features on the roadmap? Any teases or sneak peeks of things that you're working on or that are upcoming that you're excited about?
Yeah, we have a feature that we recently launched, and more or less recently. I have problems with time now. During pandemic times, I say like yesterday, and it's everything not today. So yeah, we launched the integration with our project-based learning platform, and I'm a huge fan of project-based learning, because for me, the one thing in programming that I like is the straight result, that I say instant result, that okay, I do it for this and now it works. So sometimes it's interesting to just learn things because they are interesting themselves, but I like instant, I know what I'm doing and it will work. And so we launched the things, and we continue to develop it, and it's
we have a big applause from the audience for project-based learning. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Alexander. You can print it, but I can. Yeah,
we're gonna have you come back for all of our live streams, Valentina. This is great.
Okay, yeah, and so it's called JetBrains Academy, and it's not for teachers, but it's for people who want to learn something, to create their own projects, and it's for different languages. But now it's for Python. It has 2 Python tracks for beginners and for more like developers, and also we really want to know your feedback and what you think about it. And if you just want to try it, we have a special a 1 month free trial for people who never tried it before and listen to this podcast. So just please go. I think the link should be in description or something. That's what we. Yeah.
I just posted the link to the live chat also. It has all of our extra tracking metrics on it to let JetBrains know that you heard about it on Teaching Python. We'll also put it in the show notes. But for those of you who are watching on the live stream now, give the link a click and check it out. It's for new registrants on JetBrains Academy, right? And it's for 1 month, Valentina, 1 month free?
Yeah. We have default 7 days trial, and this is for 1 month. And actually, if you're working on your project, you can extend it by your trial by 2 months. So yeah, but it was a huge dream for us to just have something project-based, and we are really happy that we have it now. And we developing our integration, and so really looking for feedback and these kind of things.
Cool.
Well, luckily our listeners are pretty good about speaking up and saying this is great or this needs work. So if you want feedback, we have some help for you.
Cool.
Well, I think we're just about coming up to the end of our time together, and I have to say, like, this has been a really great education for me because I tend to gravitate more towards VS Code for my day-to-day work. But the best thing about teaching now for a few years and having some of the same students that are growing is that they're all starting to grow into new tools like JetBrains and PyCharm, like VS Code, and so to have this kind of deeper look at what's possible, especially with the EDU edition from a teaching perspective, is really helpful. And and you can see where there's a lot of great tools for the classroom and for the after school programs and for the individual learner, and all of these different ways that you can use PyCharm for teaching and learning. And even if you're using PyCharm professional community, to be able to add EDU tools to it really quickly and easily is a really wonderful feature and a great way of thinking about the teaching side of this.
Yeah, and just to plug in add, I mean, without all the extra bits and bobs and stuff, for me, it's an easy open. I'm going to highlight again that you open it up, you go into the terminal in the bottom. I'm probably using about 1% of what is out there for PyCharm, but for me it works. I know I have my files all in my VNV, all nice there. So it's worth trying out, even if you're a Visual Studio Code user or a Jupyter Notebook. I think forcing yourself to learn a new editor and to learn something new is always a bonus, so that you can help your students.
Yeah, and I also saw this note come up in the chat. It's kind of a longer one. But what I really liked about this comment from LaRogue on Twitch is that he got a bundle of PyCharm Pro, and he's been using it ever since, or he or she, sorry. And says, I don't have to worry about configuring a lot in my IDE or just having to learn the IDE. Vim, I'm looking at you. And he just loves PyCharm. And I think that that's the sign of a really good editor, is that when you need the feature, it's there. When you don't need it, it gets out of the way and lets you focus on what you're trying to accomplish, that project or that bit of code or finding that bug. So I thought that was a really cool comment, and kind of gets to what you're talking about, yeah, Kelly, which is, you should be able to learn it and feel like it's helping you. And if it starts to become cumbersome or gets in the way, it's not helping you anymore.
Yeah, and that little light bulb always helps me.
Yeah, I like it too. But
I'm like, why is it there? Gosh darn it. What did I do wrong?
It's beautiful code. Come away. But I just wanted about the feature one comment, because when I was starting programming and using not PyCharm but IntelliJ IDEA, it was always for me quite a surprise, because I started to think about the programming. Like, I want to do this. How would I call this feature? And I just, okay, and it was there. So it was there. Just I wanted that kind of refactoring on this kind of thing, and it was there. And I just believed, like, if I want something, I just want to wish it. I have to wish it, and it will be in my hands.
That's very cool. Well, we have some nice shout outs from the audience. JetBrains Academy is awesome. Thank you so much for that. We have from Alexander, big thanks for the stream. Make education great again with new great tools. That's awesome. We totally agree. Zibadenko on YouTube says, you're doing amazing things, Valentina, and looking forward to seeing all these new features and courses. And a huge thanks to JetBrains for the social initiative. Completely agree. Ilner from JetBrains has given a little bit more information about JetBrains Academy, so we'll post this in the show notes too. I think there's just a lot of really great comments happening in the live stream. I know that we haven't really done a lot of these live streams before, but I don't think this will be the last one.
I'm so glad you're doing that. I'm just sitting back here enjoying going and looking at the website, and Sean's having to manage everything. I'm like, yeah, great.
I'm putting you on screen sharing duty. I'm putting you on screen sharing duty next time, Kelly. You have to share screens and show people what we're doing. All right. Well, so if people want to learn more, we've got the link to JetBrains Academy. They can download the PyCharm Edu as a package from the PyCharm website. We'll put a link to that as well. If you already have PyCharm, if you're in PyCharm right now, why not go over to the plugins section and add the EDU tools and yeah, do a little bit of exploration. Valentina, if people want to know more about what you're working on or more tools in the EDU product for PyCharm, what's the best way for people to follow progress? Is it on Twitter? Is there a website, blog, things like that?
You mean you mean our JetBrains CDU stuff, yeah?
Well, wherever the best place is, whether it's following you personally on Twitter or following JetBrains.
Yeah. I think following JetBrains, because I don't use really Twitter now. Yeah, but I think we have we post regularly on Twitter, so just go there. It would be cool. But if you prefer, we have a blog, JetBrains blog, and you can just subscribe for news, and so it's also possible. Facebook, so. Yeah.
Pretty much anywhere social media is found, you can find JetBrains.
Find your favorite one. Choose your favorite one, yes.
That sounds great. Well, for us, let's see, our upcoming events, we are, this is our second episode in the IDE series. We're going to be moving on to VS Code next time. So we've already got one part of that recorded. We're going to record another part to it. And then over the summer, we're going to be bringing in new guests. We have a bunch of new episodes planned. Kelly and I will shift to a fully remote recording setup since we won't be in the classroom over the summer. And we're looking forward to just taking a little bit of time to recharge and be reflective and think about this past school year and what's coming next. If you'd like to join the conversation with us and tell us a little bit more about how your experiences have gone teaching or learning over the past year or the upcoming year, the best way to do that is through our website. You can always send us a message that way. We're also on Twitter at Teaching Python. Kelly is at Kelly Pered on Twitter, and I'm at SM Tiber. Kelly, anything else? Any other announcements or things for our?
No, just our t-shirts that we have coming, and Sean's little, it's really cute. I can't say it.
Yeah.
I'm just hooked on making them. It's fun. It's kind of like if I don't feel like coding or if I'm stuck on code, I turn to Illustrator and I get creative, and usually that helps me to code. So if you ever get stuck, draw. I do like to promote that. So no, nothing else.
Okay. I think one of the other things that we're looking at launching this summer, and we'll work on specific dates, is we're going to launch some new tiers for our Patreon supporters. And one of the things that we're looking at is adding some tiers that include like a T-shirt of the month club, extra coffee mugs, some of these things that Kelly's been designing so that you can have a little bit of Teaching Python swag in your workplace, wherever that is, whether that's your garage like me, your office at home, or your office in a building somewhere. We'd love to send a little bit of Teaching Python to you. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be announcing that on the website and through Twitter once it's ready. But we have a little bit of work to do. And right now, as you can imagine, with 7 days left of school, our bandwidth is a bit tight. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, Valentina, thank you so much for joining us. I hope we stay in touch, and we'd love to have you come back later and talk more about PyCharm and how these great tools can be used to make learning even better. So for Teaching Python, this is Sean.
And this is Kelly signing off.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.